and gentlemen, let's go.
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Well, actually, I live in Delaware now, so does that make me a Delawarean?
Singing girl.
You know, Beyonce is my friend in my head. Jay my people sometimes, too.
Yeah. I mean, like, be true, man.
You know, when I was a kid, I had an imaginary enemy. Like, does that make me crazy?
Life as P, presented by Say What Radio.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Life is P. I'm your host, Phoenix Sash. I thank you for joining me. If this is your first time, I appreciate you giving me a shot. If you are a repeat listener, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your support. I'm overjoyed with the people who are messaging me, telling me that they enjoyed Soil Sheets. I just wish you guys would leave a review. That would be really helpful, but thank you so much. I do appreciate all of your encouragement and support and messages. It really means a lot to me. I was thinking about what the theme would be. So I've been all over the place lately. And if you notice, like last week's show was kind of late and this week's show looking like we're trending for late. But I really wanted to talk about pivoting. What does your pivot look like? So is your pivot foot like, what's that looking like? So when things change and you need to change direction, or you need to go in a different direction, either because you're noticing something doesn't work for you or because someone is instructing you to go in a different direction. Like, is that easy for you? Because if I'm being transparent, I would definitely say that I'm still working on that. It's taking me a while to be able to pivot. Like, it bothers me, like, when my show is late. It bothers me when I'm putting a lot of effort into something and I have to like change direction right in the middle. And it does more than bother me, right? So even if it bothers you, you still may be able to pivot well and change direction and go ahead and do something else. But I feel like I'm good at it now, or I make it appear as though I'm good at it. But I struggle with it on the inside because who I am, like I just get something in my mind and I'm so like dead set on doing that one thing that changing in the middle of the course is sometimes very difficult for me. I know I was working on a story for my publisher and I had this whole elaborate thing in my mind and I started writing it and I was like, oh, I'm going to beat that deadline and I'm going to be able to hand this thing in. It's going to be so wonderful. And I had all the strings in which it was going to connect to and it was going to be this thing. And then I started writing it and I'm getting towards the end and I'm like, first of all, I don't think this is what I thought it was going to be. I think it's going in a direction that I didn't intend it to go, and I don't like it. I don't like this direction. And then I'm doubting it. And then I'm thinking about doing this other piece, and I'm like, oh, man. And I had these big plans for these pieces, and they're just not looking like what I want it to look like. And they're not meaning what I want them to mean. I'm not getting the execution is just not happening for me. And then, so I reach out to my publisher and I'm like, hey, what do you think? Like, I'm doing this in order to answer a question that I saw. And I felt like somebody needed to know that I was paying attention and I was listening. And so I'm offering this story. And she's like, it could be hit or miss. It could be hit or miss. It could either be too much of this one thing, or you may miss the opportunity to get new readers, or it can be like bigger and you can really build it out. And I was like, oh, And so like I was already feeling doubt. And it's funny because doubt is the easiest thing to join the pack. Right. So I was feeling doubt, you feeling doubt. So we both in doubt. Now I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing it. Which is funny because there's also a part of me that was like, this could really happen. And there was a part of her that was like, this could really happen. And it's like, why I didn't go with that? But anyway, it's probably my gut somewhere in there. But I said, okay, I got to change direction. I got to change course. And I had to start a brand new story. And so I've lost a week in order to make this other deadline, and I'm starting something else and struggling. Still haven't finished the new piece, and the deadline is closing in on me. And part of the frustration is kicking myself to say, gosh, if I would have had this idea 2-3 weeks ago, I wouldn't be in this predicament. I'd be finished with this story by now, at least with the first draft. But the idea came when it came, right? I can't plan out when that idea is going to come. And that idea came because I had to let go of the old idea. As long as that new idea seemed functional and it seemed as though that was going to be what I was going to go with, I hadn't given my mind the space to really flesh out any kind of new idea. I didn't give my mind the space to have a new dream, to have a new vision. And so, of course, it didn't come 2-3 weeks ago because I was still thinking about that old thing. And now it's here and it's fleshing itself out because my mind has the space. I have the time to dream on it. I have the time to plot it out. I have the time to think on what the details may be. And I'm just wondering how many times and how many of us are holding on to that old thing and not giving our minds and our hearts the space to dream up of that new thing. Like, how many of us and how often are we thinking, I always wanted to be this. I always wanted to do that. And not that that isn't relevant, but are we stopping to ask ourselves, is that still what I really want to do? Or am I just so accustomed to that dream? Did I just get that dead set in my mind and just ignore the fact that that is no longer my passion, no longer the thing that I'm interested in, and no longer the source of my joy? I know someone who they're in the sports industry and they had this dream of getting this certain pinnacle and they were going hard. And then some things happened. Their health had some failures and took him a while to rehab and took him a while to get back on his feet. And then once he got back on his feet, still back in the sports, but it was kind of like a lackluster performance for a couple of incidences. And, when you talk to this person, they're like, I'm not even really sure this is my dream. I was taught that this is my dream. This was my father's dream. And this is what I knew. This is what I learned from a child. This is what I was following suit with. And once I even had an inkling that I might like this, my parent went so hard with it. And I just was conditioned to think that this is my dream. And it was very hard for this person to explore other options because they're like, well, if I don't pursue this, what do I have? What is now my dream? What is now my passion? And I think that that thought really scared them. And it's a scary thought, right? If I let go of this one thing that I've known all my life to be my passion, known all my life to be the thing that I'm chasing for, what do I have? But the question, although it may be a scary one, it's also the thing that incites your dreams. It's also the thing that says, well, take some time and ponder on it. If you can let go of the fear takes up a lot of room in your mind. And sometimes we're scared and we're not seeing the other vision and we're not seeing the other dream because we got to let at least some of that fear go so that we can have the space to dream. We need to, what is that other thing? For a long time, and I know some of you guys laugh at me when I talk about how, there was a time I thought I was going to be a rapper. I did thought I was going to be a rapper. I did. Now, there's people who hear my voice who be like, word, I hear that. But, I was like, and I feel like I recently gave that dream up. I mean, it's a couple years now, but I feel like, it ain't been that long. 3-4 years. But for years, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be. And I went through that dream several times. I went through it as a teenager, not even a teenager, like a preteen through teenage years. I dropped it for a while when I was 18, 19, and then picked it back up when I was in my early 20s and let it continue until I was into my mid 20s, and then dropped it for a while and then picked it back up under different circumstances, maybe it's a possibility again. And I was thinking to myself, I never lost this love for this thing, right? So this must be my call. This must be the thing. And then I matured because I was seeing that it was too much opposition. And it wasn't like I wasn't willing to go through some hurdles or go through some circumstances, but I really wasn't up for the fight. And when I wasn't up for the fight, I said to myself, like, do you really want this thing? Or is this the thing that you've known all your life that you wanted? This is the thing that you've been chasing for so long, or if you've chased more often than you've chased anything else. You know, we do that with relationships, right? You really love that person, or is just the love that you accustomed to repeating? But for real, I just was like, yo, I had to ask myself. And then I was like, there's so many things that came with being a rapper. Like, I really just wanted to write songs. I really could care less. Like, I couldn't care less if I was on your stage. I mean, I feel great when I get up on the stage. I do. I love the microphone, as you can see, or hear rather. But there were things that I could live without. And I just was like, maybe I don't love everything about it, or I dislike more things about it than I like recording. Because I really just love recording. I love the microphone. So like, whether I'm on the stage or I'm in the studio, I love the microphone. I'm one of those people who could be in the studio all night because I love how my voice sounds on a microphone. I'm sweating myself. Yes. I love it. So I love like manipulating my voice, making it sound different way, whatever. I just love the sound of, I don't know. Probably something I should talk to a therapist about, but I love my own voice. Or maybe that's self-love and I'm just not accustomed to it. So I never need to see a therapist about that. But anyhow, for real, you know, just chasing the thing. And when I finally let it go and was like, yo, I don't think that this is what it is, I started to dream a little and think a little and ask myself, what do I enjoy? What do I want to pursue? What was it about music that I love so much? And what else could I do with that portion of the thing that I love? And that's writing. I love writing songs and I love recording. So why not have a podcast? Why not write some books? I'm writing some stories down. I have my degree in screenwriting. Why not tell it in a movie format? Why not tell it in television format? Why not tell it in some books? And really just started to think beyond what it was that I had known all my life to be my dream or my passion. And was like, wait a minute, maybe that was just the catalyst to get me to this other place. Maybe that was just a thing that I needed to focus on to sharpen the skills that I would need to do the next thing. So maybe like it wasn't revealed to me what it was my like, I probably still don't know what the actual calling is when it's all said and done and when it's finished. And when I lay my head, you know, rest in peace, Toni Morrison. I don't know, you know, if anybody could really predict the impact that you're going to have on so many people until really after you're gone, when you can't experience anymore, because the impact is not for you, it's for them. And I'm sure she knew she had a great impact on people, but you never really imagine like there's going to be people who have never met you, who've only read one book of yours or only knows your name, who's going to rest in peace, you know, all across the internet and stuff like that. But I don't know, Toni Morrison, when I read her books in high school, that was the first writer that I read that made me fall in love with the craft of writing. I wrote poetry at the time. I was writing rhymes. And oddly enough, I was like, I hate reading. Imagine that. I hate reading. And once I read Toni Morrison, I realized that, and I don't even think I really realized, right? I thought that, oh, no, I like reading, so let me get more of these kinds of books. As an adult, I look back and I'm like, okay, it wasn't that I hated reading. I just wasn't enjoying what I was reading. Because I was in high school and I was in junior high and you're reading what assigned reading is. And there's very few Black authors, very few authors of color, very few things that are enjoyable. You know, they don't have the suspense and drama that I wanted. I was reading, you know, what's considered classics, and those things didn't do anything for me. They didn't. And when I read The Bluest Eye, oh my God, Beloved just like floored me. I had classmates who were struggling with Beloved because, you know, some of the transitions are very difficult from past to present. And I loved it. And I sometimes see myself mimicking the things that I love and not having a clear transition sometimes. And, you know, I'm a little reader's give me feedback, my little beta readers, and they're like, there's not a clear transition here. And I'm just like, I'm no Toni Morrison, so they're not going to forgive this style right now. Let me get it together and practice the clear transitions until I'm so above it all that I can, just be like, this is what the style is. All right, just sit down and listen. Or just sit down and read. But yeah, like when I look back, I'm like, wow, that struck me from back then. That's what started incorporating some stories and me giving some poetry in my songs some depth and layers and chasing that dream that I thought was my dream and started to fizzle because I was like, I don't like all these parts of it. And I'm like, well, maybe, the writing the books or the writing of television or whatever, maybe that was a thing all along. And I just sharpened my skills in a different way. Sometimes I still feel inadequate. I still feel embarrassed of all the books there are a lot of books that I haven't read, but there's like a gazillion books in the world, right? But not just the books that I haven't read, but sometimes like the books I don't remember. There's books that I've read that I don't remember the details. I know I've read them, but I don't remember the details. And so sometimes when people have these discussions and they ask, what was the first romance novel you've ever read? Hell if I know. I don't know. I don't know. And people are like, what was the first? I don't know the answer to that. So I feel inadequate and I feel like, damn, is this my calling? Do I know enough about it? Do I know enough history? And it's just like, yeah, I do. I do. Because I'm always learning. I'm always researching. I'm always reading more. But, the stuff that I'm reading now, 20 years from now, I may not remember. I may not remember all of it. And it's okay to be at capacity when it comes to that because I still have to leave my mind the space to dream my own dreams, to dream up my own stories, to craft my own storylines. I still need to leave my mind the space. And I got so much going on that I don't have space for all of everybody else's stuff forever. Like I may have space for everybody else's stuff for right now, where I can give it my attention right now and give my feedback or say I enjoyed it or recite a story or whatever. But in 10 years, I got to let it go because I got to make room for something else. I can't just remember everything forever. But the same thing with my dream. Like I was holding on to that old dream and it was like, how long you gonna hold on to that old dream? Because, we feel like failures when we don't achieve it. But do we really open our eyes to find out? Yeah, but think about all the skills I sharpened during that time I was chasing that particular dream that I could reapply. So am I really a failure? I don't think so. Not when I can take those skills and reapply it to the new dream. Because I don't believe like you have wasted skills. It can be reapplied somewhere, even if it's just applied to the place that's going to help you pay your bills while you recreate your dream life, while you chase this new passion. So you're not a failure because you let it go. You're going to take the things that you've learned. You're going to take the tools that you've gained and reapply them. And probably not this new dream, this new passion. You may not even have to start from scratch because you have these skills and because you have these tools. I feel like when I started to think about, maybe I want to write a book or whatever, that I had a certain level of skill. I had to apply to school. I had to be approved. I had to be tested. And I'm like, well, I learned how to tell a good story through rap. I learned how to tell a story. And then once I got into school and I was like, teach me all the ways. And I fell in love with screenwriting because I learned how to tell a succinct story, which I know my podcast don't necessarily feel like that, but whatever. So anyway, I just want you guys to think about what your pivot foot looks like and how easily you're able to turn and how it can benefit you if you can change course when you realize that things are not serving you or things are not healthy for you, or you just need to change course because the circumstances change or the situation has changed. And in order to get to a destination you're happy with, you may need to change course. And the longer that you struggle with that pivot, the harder it may be for you to get to the destination of joy. And getting to the destination of joy, I don't know about for you, but that's my destination. And it's not a stable destination. It's a moving one. So it's from point to point to point to point, I want to experience joy. From point to point to point to point, I want to be happy. I want to know that I'm in pursuit of the life that I want. Now, happy doesn't mean I don't have no problems. It doesn't mean that. It just means that overall, I'm happy and I know that I'm fighting through something, but it's okay. It's okay because I'm happy with my life. And it took me a long time to get to a place where I was like, I'm kind of happy with my life. Do I want more? Absolutely. But I'm kind of happy with how things are going. I do appreciate that. And I want that for you guys. I want joy in your life. So I need you to think about what your pivot looks like. And if you are holding up happiness by struggling to pivot, don't struggle for it. Okay? The one thing that's guaranteed is change. And the more adaptable we are to change, the lighter our load. I truly believe that. Anyway, that's my bit. If you want to get at me, please do so. I'm at P Writes on Instagram, at P Writes on Twitter, Phoenix Sash on Facebook. You can follow my Facebook page, Passion Books, and that's PASHENT Books. If you want to read any of my work, Soil Sheets is available on Amazon as well as Kindle. You can get at me, send me a message if you want a signed paperback copy. I would love to connect with you. I'd love to be able to send that out. If you want to listen to a book, my first novel, In Her Makeup, is available on Amazon Kindle as well as Apple Books and Audible. Yay. That took me forever. If you're a repeat listener, you know that I was saying it was coming, but it's here. It's good. It's what's up. I wonder, should I do Soil Sheets? I don't know. Maybe I should do like a survey. Is Soil Sheets something you guys want on Audible? Let me know. I'd be more than happy to accommodate that. What else did I want to say? Check out my people, Say What Radio. That's the network that I'm on. They're awesome, hilarious, and very supportive. For real. I love my folks. I do. I absolutely. Be Love Publications has been really good to me, which is the publisher that I'm on. And I have a lot of sister authors on there and they've just been really good to me. So, baby's calling me. Let me go downstairs and see what she wants. Until next time when we can exchange power. Peace.